bad it gets out here after a rain. With the pine needles and all the sticks and branches and everything are wet so they don't crunch. Makes everything else slick. Like this log. Some dead manzanita and some pine. Some more dead manzanita. Lots of kind of scraggly dead stuff. The shelter's still standing. Oh. This is gonna be slick. Oh. This tarp's so ragged and worn, I mean you can see right through it. So probably just let water right through, even though it's kind of loose and sloppy. But probably just water slough off the back, and then just let whatever doesn't right through instead of pooling. Let's check out the creek. This, can't really tell if you can see, this is higher than it's been all year. But fortunately, it's got to fill that area up right across there. It's got to fill this area up right across here, up to there, before you need to even think about worrying about it flooding out camp. So I'm not real worried. There's a lot of dead limbs on the end, on the sides, I mean, kind of sticking out. So I'm gonna grab my saw and check and see some of the ones I can reach, because it seems pretty solid. Maybe there'll be some fat wood in there. Nope. Crap. But no fat wood there. I'm gonna check that one. These are the lower ones that I can reach. Well, maybe that one too. I can get through this brush. I'll check it. Well, I cut off 2 branches. Let's see, here's one. This is the longer one. No fat wood there. And here's the other one. None there either. I cut off the end of it just to get it out of my way. It'll still burn. It's pretty dry in the middle. I mean, it's pine. I wouldn't want to cook over it, but it'll keep you warm. And it's okay to cook like in a pot or something. But there's a couple low branches on that guy right there. My phone will focus. That I'll try and get. It's got a couple of bigger ones too, but that's, you can see that branch right there and that one right there. They're kind of over the creek. I don't know if I want to get my feet wet today. So my other boots are wet too. So let's try it. Those are those 2 branches I was talking about. They're about 8-10 feet off the ground. I got nothing really I can safely stand on here, so I'll leave them for when I can come down here with a pole saw or something. I'm not going to do a fire today, but I just drug these couple of pieces of dead and formerly dry oak. I'll process them up and with whatever I got. I only have a pocket knife with me. I actually just wanted to gather some madrone leaves to make some tea, and maybe some spruce needles too. Madrone is useful for stomach issues. It's useful as a topical for itching and some other stuff. Sore bones, sore joints, muscles, stuff like that. It's good to smash the leaves up, I guess, and rub it on the sore area. So anyway, I'm gonna cut this up and then go find some madrone. And so the next time I do a video, I'll have to remember to bring my tripod with me, and also think a little more about what I'm gonna say. So this is a trick I learned from watching Dave Canterbury. And basically, instead of risking injuring yourself if you don't have an axe with you or a saw, you can break smaller pieces of firewood like this. This is about 2 inches across, something like that, by putting it between the fork of a tree. I know that thing's dead, but I'm watching it. Putting it between the fork of a tree and putting pressure on it on the main branch you're working on, and it should snap eventually. Kind of like that. And then you can just get off the rest of the way. If you get a really dry piece, I mean, it's been pouring rain here for the last several days, so this is, you can see how far in the water has gotten. See that dark spot up at the top? And so it's pretty flexible. I mean, this is also the busted end, so it's kind of punky, really wet. So I'm gonna break up the rest of this with this, and I don't know, show you a picture, I guess. So here's the wood I broke up using the Canterbury crotch method. These couple of pieces were too short to get enough leverage to break them off like that, at least for me to break them off like that, and then just some kindling twigs up to about thumb thick down to pencil lead size. It's not sorted because, well, it's all wet and it's not going to burn right now anyway. And I didn't feel like it. I do have some firewood here. I think there's tinder in that bag, and some water for just putting the fire out. And some kindling to get a fire going. We've got it. Harl had the idea to tie it up kind of in the rafters of our shelter to keep it well off the ground. That stuff that I did today is sitting right on the ground, but oh well. Those things I might cut with the saw, or I might just stick them in the fire and burn them how they are and just feed them in as I go. We did the fire pit like this with an open front, kind of specifically so we could do that. And so if it got full of ashes, we could scrape them out and, I don't know, bury them or something. Once they're completely cooled down. So anyway, I'm gonna take a little hike back out. And then also I just saw a different little path over here. Hang on, so I just saw this path here. It leads, I mean, from up there right down. It doesn't look like it's used very much since we started putting the shelter up here anyway. Right down and into the shelter. Probably was an old deer trail or something like that to get into, probably to get down to the creek to get some water. So, I don't know. I never noticed that before. Probably should have paid better attention before we picked the spot, but around here, flat spots are hard to come by. I don't know if you can hear that. Heck, I don't even know if it's this tree. But no, I'm not flatulent. One of these ponderosas is kind of creaking. It's a little bit of an unnerving sound to hear right above your head. Especially when you can't tell where it's coming from. Might be these two, might be one of those back there. But these are the only two that are really close enough together to be rubbing anywhere. At least in this immediate area. So anyway, I'm gonna go find madrone trees. Not really a path here. Those logs are a backstop. We come up here and go target shooting. There's some madrone. Okay, so this is pretty low to the ground and easy to get at. That's manzanita. You see the bright reddish purple bark. This in the round leaves. This is madrone. You see the serrated edge, the kind of oval shaped leaf, and the reddish bark. It's also kind of yellowish, that back there. This is just an easy one to get at, so I'm going to grab some of these leaves because they're good for chewing. These leaves are good for upset stomach and cramps, so I'm going to grab some of those. Here's another little stand of them. They're kind of getting choked out by the manzanita and then this Scotch broom. Scotch broom's invasive. And it's also not particularly useful for it. The Scotch broom isn't particularly useful for anything. I've made fairly strong cordage out of the bark, and that worked pretty well. It held up pretty well, but it's also mildly toxic, so you wouldn't want to eat it. Anyway, I'm going to grab a handful of more leaves off of this madrone. Yep, that's madrone. Arbutus menziesii. So, little bag full of madrone leaves. Here's another nice flat spot that would be good to put maybe a little camp. It'd have to be like a tarp shelter type of camp, because the road, or the driveway, is right there, right on the other side of that log there. So probably the only thing I could leave up here is a fire ring or something, but be a good spot to camp out. There's no, sorry about the sun, there's no trees really close by. Good flat spot. No matter where I go, I find stuff like this. This goes in the trash. And now I'm back to where I started. So, hope you had fun living through my eyes. Next time I'll bring a camera and a tripod and some other equipment, and actually be able to do a little bit better video. And I'll bring saws and axes and something to start a fire with. You know, all that stuff you're supposed to have with you whenever you go in the woods, but I'm like 300 yards from any houses that are out here right now, so it's not a big deal. Anyway, I don't know. Thanks for watching.